Austin, thank you for the time. As always, this is a big recruiting weekend coming up. Can you kind of lay it out for us? What are we looking at here for Tennessee this weekend?
Well, it is a big weekend, Josh. I mean, you've got a lot of big-time, players coming in. David Sanders is first on the marquee, the big five-star offensive tackle. This is big. This will be his third unofficial visit here in the last 7 or 8 weeks. And, of course, he's got his official visit coming up in just a few weeks in the month of June. So getting him back in town was big. He's going to spend a lot of time with George McIntyre this weekend. But then also they both will be at the On3 Elite Series event in Nashville Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And so they'll be able to spend time together there. You've got Jaime French coming to town, the wide receiver from down near Jacksonville. Isaiah Campbell, the Clemson commit, has indicated he may be here. We'll see if he makes it to town. Isaiah Gibson, five-star edge out of the state of Georgia, will be in town. You get a lot of big-timers, and you get the local product, Nick Moore, who continues to get more and more, no pun intended, traction out there in the recruiting world. So a lot of visitors in this weekend, several of them on the defensive side of the ball, but some key guys on offense as well with French and obviously the big guy, David Sanders.
What's the timeline on David Sanders? When is he expecting to make a commitment, maybe shut things down, make a decision on where he wants to go?
Well, he's going to take all these visits in the month of June. I would look for something in July, from David Sanders officially. This is a kid who has taken a ton of visits the last 2 or 3 months. That's all he's done is, he's been on unofficial visit after unofficial visit. He's been multiple times to Georgia, multiple times to Ohio State, 3 times to Tennessee, Alabama, I think, one weekend. I mean, he's went and went and went, and he's like the Energizer Bunny. He just hasn't stopped. And one would imagine that he, along with his mom and dad, are going to go, okay, let's get these officials out, and then we're done. Like, we're no more visits. We need to stay home for a few weeks. We need to, just kind of, take a break from recruiting, and all that culminates, I think, with a decision sometime likely in July.
Austin Price is with us from Volquest. What about Jaime French? Where do things stand with him?
I would say Tennessee's trailing a little bit right now. I think Texas has got some momentum. Ohio State's never went away. I mean, he talked about LSU. I think they're probably more down the board. So I would go Texas and Ohio State. And I think Tennessee's right there with LSU, kind of a little bit, behind. But, again, strong weekend. You're hanging around some big-time guys like McIntyre, like Sanders, and some others. And maybe that changes kind of how you feel about things. So, again, much like Sanders, French will be around Georgia as well over in Nashville at the On3 event. So, again, I think they're trailing a little bit, but they're in it. And, again, he'll be back for an official visit in the month of June as well.
Austin, what can you tell us about Tennessee's most recent commitment, a name that you had mentioned previously to watch out for, but an offensive lineman that chose the Vols 2 days ago?
Yeah, Anthony Ogoro, really good-looking kid. He's from the Micronesian Islands, which is just off the coast of Guam. So we've got the Polynesians with Nico and some different people over the years like Jesse Mahalona or Albert Oena. Now we're venturing into the Micronesians. So we're going to have all the Islanders. And I love this kid's mental makeup. He's going to have to put on just a touch of weight. I mean, he's not small, but, again, I think to play on the interior, he needs to put on a little bit of weight. But he is freaky athletically, explosive, powerful hands. Kid, I think, has got the right kind of mental makeup from just kind of talking to him and just kind of how he interacts and responds. And, again, I think this is a kid that, given time, will be really, really good in this offense. They like athletic guards, and that's exactly what he is.
Hard to not notice that he is currently in Elgin, Oklahoma. That's SEC country now. And we know the tie between Tennessee and Oklahoma there with Josh Heupel. Why did he pick Tennessee? Why was Tennessee able to get his commitment even though Norman, Oklahoma is an hour away?
Well, he's not from there. He just moved there in January. Was in North Carolina before that. Dad's a military guy. Tennessee just did a really good job of recruiting, not only he, but his family. He's got a younger brother, Troy, who is, special needs, and Tennessee, kind of made the visit, and built the visit around the ability for Troy to have a good time. It wasn't just about Anthony, and I think that resonated with Anthony and the family. And I think that's really when Tennessee locked him in. Was just how they treated Troy, mom and dad, Anthony, the whole family on the official visit here at the first part of May. And he took a couple of visits after that just because, as he said, I'm kind of a kid of my word, and I told him I'd take visits. But, he was kind of locked in from the moment he left campus.
Austin Price, Volquest.com. We had a question about four-star offensive lineman Dontrell Glover. He's down in Fairburn, Georgia. I know he's listed Tennessee among his top schools. Where do things stand with him? What kind of position might Tennessee be in with Glover?
Yeah, I mean, kid that's going to take a visit in the month of June. I like, I think Tennessee's in it, but again, much like French, I think they're trailing a little bit. You've got multiple Southern schools there that are in play, like Auburn, and I think when you look at Glover, he's a really good player. Tennessee also heavily in it with Jacoby Ward, kid out of South Georgia. That's another Auburn, Tennessee, Florida State, Georgia. All those teams heavily in play for that guard out of South Georgia. So Tennessee wants to add multiple interior guys. They've already added one. They'd love to add Nick Moore from Jefferson County, and they'd love to add a guy like Jacoby Ward.
How prepared, or what have you heard about Tennessee with some of the changes going on around college football and the new rules allowing schools to compensate players? From what you've heard, what you know, how prepared you think Tennessee is versus some of the other schools out there?
I mean, I think they're as prepared as anybody else. I don't think anybody's just overly prepared, with a lot of this. But at the end of the day, this is where this is headed. And again, I think this will be a good baseline. They've got to figure out, what does Title IX do? Does the girl volleyball player make the same as the starting quarterback? Does the golfer, the men's golfer, make the same as the starting wide receiver? Does everybody make the same? Do all athletes get compensated a flat fee, and then you add NIL on top of that, which means collectives and stuff like that aren't really going to go anywhere. It just means that, you're going to have, everybody getting paid. And honestly, you got a kid that go and, be a golfer at Tennessee, all of a sudden he's going to have be getting paid a little bit, plus it's, free education if that's how they determine all this is going to work. So, you've got a lot of money at play. The TV contracts obviously have gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And, so I think a lot of it depends on just kind of how this all shakes out, how it's shaped out with, Title IX, with the non-revenue sports, does the golfer, does the swimmer make the same as the starting offensive tackle as far as what's coming from the school? If that's the case, then obviously, the NIL part of this will still be a heavily compensated deal for those higher tiered guys.
Hey, Austin, one more from me, Austin Price, Volquest.com, related to the current Tennessee football team. I think a couple of weeks ago on the Cube Show, Cole Kubelik's podcast, he talked about Larry Johnson III as a guy that has stood out from what he's heard. And then a couple of days ago on the show, Cooper Mays mentioned Larry Johnson as a guy that he was impressed with this spring, as a guy that is developing and might have a chance to help this fall. What have you heard about Larry, a former junior college prospect, big guy, literally, that could potentially help as a backup option at tackle?
Yeah, again, a kid that's gotten himself in much better shape. Kid came in he was a gargantuan, and he is, looks the part now. And again, where's he at mentally? Where's he at, from the football IQ side, Josh? If he's picked that up, he can be someone who is very much, someone they could turn to if John Campbell or Lance Hurd had to be out of the game, or if Tennessee's in a situation where they can get some younger guys some reps, that'd be a perfect guy to, get in the football game. He passes the eye test. He's always passed the eye test, even when he was probably a little bit overweight. Now he really passes the eye test, and it boils down to just kind of where he's at on the mental side.
Austin, what can people find either this weekend coming up or just moving forward at Volquest.com?
Well, we hope to have some type of, resolution with the Chaz Lanier sweepstakes, sometime in the next couple of days. Eric Kane will have us covered on baseball coverage, and Matt Ray and I will have us covered on 865 Live, Tennessee's big recruiting weekend for Memorial Day weekend. So a lot of great coverage right now at VolQuest.
Could you or maybe Grant or Rob text Chaz and say, hey, do Josh and Swain a solid before 3 o'clock? Some news would be great. Anything like that?
I don't see it happening before 3 o'clock, but you never know. It's the NIL era, guys. You just never know.
That is a good point. Volquest.com, that's where you can read and see and listen to the work from Austin and his colleagues. Austin, thanks for the time as always. Hope you have a great weekend. Know you'll be busy, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds good, guys. Appreciate you.